Thanks, Ashish, for the reminder. Started the recording. So, first mechanism that I would like to talk about is the catalytic mechanism. So, how many of you have heard about this catalytic mechanism? So, what is the term catalyst? What does it do? You must have heard about this term in the chemistry classes that what is the catalyst in a chain reaction? What does the catalyst do? Is it clear now? Are others also facing this issue where you're not able to hear clearly? Okay, so what is a catalyst? My voice is breaking. Okay. Ashish, are you also facing this issue? Okay, let's give it a try once more. If it is still breaking, then I'll just quit the session and join back. Just let me know if it is better now. So, catalyst is something which just speeds up the process. When something is happening with a x speed, it just accelerates the speed to 2x, 3x. So, catalyst just speeds up what is happening in a galvanizing manner. So, that is what a catalyst is supposed to do. So what happens is certain organizations they rely on catalytic mechanisms to actually bump up their progress or to achieve really good results or to have really wonderful performance. So they just don't rely on the goal setting process, they rely on catalytic mechanisms that they just want to have uh, to galvanizing a progress than what it is right now. Sana, can you try joining back? Because I guess Ashish is able to hear and I check my net connection also, so it's fine at my end. Okay, so catalytic mechanism is one of the change programs. And what they do is they set BHAG. What is BHAG? They are big, hairy, audacious goals. So their goals are not short term goals and really focused on having maximum profits, maximum revenue, more customer acquisition. So they are really big, audacious goals which are about to bring a substantial change in the organizations. So, what does this catalytic mechanism do? So, they propel the companies to 2x levels of performance than what it is right now. So, they turn visions into reality and they involve redistribution of power. So, generally, power is in the hands of a senior management or the board of directors or the shareholders. So, what they do is they not only distribute the power but also give it to the lower levels of the management so that everyone is having some level of power and some level of say in the organization. So everyone is contributing towards the achievement of goals and towards galvanizing the progress of the organization. So no more decision making is in the hands of a senior leadership. Even the lower level executives are also contributing towards turning the visions into reality. So they are really catalytic goals in a manner. How are they different? How are these catalytic goals different? So what they do is they produce unpredictable results. You would not have imagined those results while you're just focused on goal settings by translating your vision statement into team level goals and the individual goals. What they do is something phenomenal. And as I already said, they try to distribute the power from the traditional powerhouses to the overall system. And they have sharp teeth. So, what do you mean by sharp teeth? What does this term mean, sharp teeth? Anybody has heard about this term, sharp teeth? Sharp teeth means having a very sharp vision, having a very sharp intuition. You tend to know something before it happens. So you're trying to anticipate things, and your anticipation power is superb, very sharp. So that is what sharp teeth means. So a lot of time managers, they get stuck just setting up vision statements and translating them into goals. But catalytic mechanism, it has a tangible process wherein they guarantee that their visions will be fulfilled. So there is 100% guarantee, and they anticipate things beforehand on the basis of the intuition, on the basis of market conditions, on the basis of competitor analysis. They're able to actually tell it to you with guarantee that they're going to succeed in their vision reality. That is what sharp teeth means. And they attract the right people and eject viruses. So what do you mean by the term eject viruses? What are viruses in a system? In terms of the computer system, what is virus? What does it do? Yeah, in software, what does virus do? How is it harmful? Everybody has heard of viruses as a malicious software. Yes, it affects the processes of a system. It can hack your system. It can, take a backup of your files without your notice. And it can actually copy your data, secret confidential stuff, and share it uh, on the databases. So, virus is supposed to be a very malicious thing. So in organizations also, there are a lot of malicious functions which are there in terms of people, in terms of systems, in terms of the other things which are operating. So catalytic mechanisms, they work on identifying these viruses in the overall system and ejecting them out. So they are not just focused on making the goals a reality, they are also responsible for finding out the viruses, and they kind of attract the right people. Attracting the right people means having a very very effective hiring system in place. A lot of time we hire people and then we realize that they're not the right fit into our organization, and then we don't know what to do with that baggage. And eventually you can't even chuck them out because you've spent considerable amount of resources in training those people and getting them fit for the roles they are in. So you have to just deal with them and carry them on. But that has a very detrimental effect on the velocity of the entire system. So catalytic mechanisms, they believe in hiring the right set of people, and they produce an ongoing effect. What is an ongoing effect? What does this term mean, ongoing effect? So what happens is when the goals are achieved, the task is done, and then the organizations move on to the next set of goals. But catalytic mechanisms, they have a different level of thinking. They believe that whatever they are going will have an ongoing effect on the progress of the organization. So they have a very, very long term goal. Their goals are not short lived. They know that one decision that they make is going to have an ongoing effect for the future of the organization. So that there a lot of thought work is coming into picture while they are doing goal setting. So these five characteristics are very important for catalytic mechanisms to exist. And you won't believe that only 5 to 10% organizations today, they actually work on catalytic mechanisms. A lot of them, almost 90% of the organizations, they do traditional goal setting. They use just smart mechanisms for goal setting, and there is no catalytic mechanism in place. So when you see catalytic mechanism in operation, you'll see organizations performing tremendously well, and you can easily gauge these organizations from their performance levels, from the level of service that they deliver, from the level of quality of the products that they have, from the product lines they innovate into. So you can easily find out where these organizations are amongst the entire set. If you have any questions, you can just ask in between, or you can type on the chat pod. Okay, Sana has a question that explain catalytic mechanisms once with an example. Yes, we'll go through the examples for catalytic mechanisms, but I'm just explaining you the characteristics of catalytic mechanisms. That how would you identify that there exists a catalytic mechanism in an organization? We'll definitely go through the examples in the coming slides. So that will make the concept very clear to you. So now, this is the idea for a catalytic mechanism that if you need help transforming your organization's wildest dreams into reality, introduce a managerial device that is simple as well as effective. So that is the vision statement for the catalytic mechanism. That when you have to, realize wildest dreams. So what you do is you introduce something which is simple as well as very, very effective. It has a long-term ongoing effect. The effect is not short-lived. Now, this is one of the case studies of a company called Granite Rock, which implemented catalytic mechanisms. So, you all can see the slides. I'll just go through the case, but you can also read it at your own end. So, this will help you develop a better understanding for the catalytic mechanism. So Granite Rock is a 99-year-old company in Watsonville, California, and it sells gravel, sand, rock, and asphalt. It's a manufacturing company. So 12 years ago, what happened was the founders, who are the brothers, Bruce and Steve, they became co-presidents, and they gave their company a new BHAJ. What is BHAJ? We discussed it in the previous slides. Do you remember what is BHAJ? BHAJ stands for Big Hairy Audacious Goals. So they gave their company a new audacious goal. So what was the audacious goal? Granite Rock would provide total customer satisfaction and achieve a reputation for service that met or exceeded that of Nordstrom. Nordstrom is the competitor, the upscale department store that is world famous for delighting its customers. Yes, Aditya, you're right. That's big, hairy, audacious goal. So Granite Rock, it developed this audacious goal that they will provide a customer service which is better than that of the competitor, which is Nordstrom, and Nordstrom is already famous for delighting its customers. So their audacious goal was to beat Nordstrom in the level of customer service. Okay, Sana, voice is breaking on your side. Aditya, are you also facing it or only Sana is facing it? Is the voice fine for others? Is it better now? I've just removed my speakers, if that helps.
Hello. Hello.
Hello? Yeah?
Actually, it's like sometimes it's going smooth and sometimes it's getting breaking. This doesn't mean that continuously breaking.
Okay,
No?
okay. Got it. So can we proceed with this, or just let me know wherever you feel that the voice is breaking, I'll repeat the concept.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so Granite Rock actually developed this audacious goal. So now this Granite Rock is a family-owned company, and the employees are very tough. And in manufacturing department, people are actually working in harsh conditions on the floor. They have a field time work, and this is a rock, sand, gravel, asphalt company. So you can imagine the kind of people who would be working for this company. And the customers are also again the construction workers and the contractors who are not easily influenced by anything. So attaining a level of customer satisfaction is a big deal for Granite Rock. So what do you think would take to reach such a goal? Now that it has set this goal, how would it achieve this goal? Any ideas? If you would have been in its place, how would you have approached this problem? The company is really old, and it is a construction company, already has a set of customers, and not easily influential customers. It is very difficult to influence them. How would you deal with this problem? So let's make this a very participative session. You can all type your views on the chat pod, because this is the last session, so I want all of you to contribute. Giving bonus. So whom you would give bonus to the customers, or to the construction workers, or to the employees? Bonus would be for whom? Construction workers. Okay, that's one of the suggestions. What else? Offers to the customers, resolving the query of the customers as well as workers. Yes, but don't you think that Nordstrom would already be doing? That is why it is able to have that reputation of delighting the customers already. So how would you beat that competition? Nordstrom is already delighting the customers. The competitor is Nordstrom, and it is already having a reputation for world class customer service in the construction company space. So how would Granite Rock be able to achieve a better level of customer satisfaction rate than Nordstrom? Give much better services to customers than competitors? Okay, but what kind of services? Nice material, yeah. Is providing a nice material a big, hairy, audacious goal? Do you find providing nice material or a better service as something which can act as a catalyst? On time delivery, yes. Obviously, when Nordstorm, if you study Nordstorm, that is not providing on time delivery to the customers. And if Granite Rock hits on that thing, that it actually speeds up the delivery mechanism and the logistics, then it can actually beat that competition up and raise the customer satisfaction level. So on time delivery can fall into the category of big hairy audacious goal. It can act as a catalyst. But nice material offers, providing a good level of customer service, they're again mediocre goals which everybody, every company, every competitor will try to analyze and set. So catalyst is something which is not happening and which can actually turn the reputation of your company upside down. It is bringing up a change which is like phenomenal. So that is the criteria for having a big hairy audacious goal. So on time delivery, if your competitor is not doing and you are bringing in, and that is raising your customer satisfaction level, so that is an example of big hairy audacious goal. So both Aditya and Sana are right. So what this company actually did was they introduced a catalytic change called short pay. They didn't focus on time delivery, they brought this mechanism of short pay. So their statement was, if you're not satisfied for any reason, don't pay us for it. Simply scratch out the line item, write a brief note about the problem, and return a copy of this invoice along with a check for the balance. So they claim that if they are not satisfied with the product, they just have to write a brief note to the company about the problem and they'll return the entire money. So that is what they were trying to do, short pay. So this brought out a phenomenal change in the level of customer service this organization delivered. So customers were able to trust the organization. Okay, Aditya, what it did was it just said in its invoice is the billing part, right? So the bill had the statement that if you are not satisfied, don't pay us. So first of all, customers will use the product, and if they are not satisfied, they will not pay. And they don't even have to return the product. So they were just focusing on the trust. So they wanted to build up a trust, which Nordstorm also tried to build via its customer service. But they actually hit on a value system that if you're not satisfied, we will not even ask you to pay for it. So that is a very, very big thing for an organization to do, considering that it may lead to losses, it may even lead to, lowering down in the revenues and costs being escalated. All of these things can happen when you actually give this kind of a statement, but they wanted to improve their customer satisfaction rate phenomenally. So this actually is a catalytic thing which you are doing. So they wanted to build up a trust with the customers, and for them trust and the value system mattered the most. And this actually had a phenomenal impact on the organization's customer service levels. This Granite Rock, it acquired 25% of the set of the customers which Nordstorm actually had. So straight away those customers actually got acquired by Granite Rock just because of the value system and the trust in their invoice statement. So for a customer, trust and value system matters a lot. When you just ask a customer that if you're not satisfied, don't pay us for it, this statement in itself has a lot of impact. Do you agree? So this is an example of a radical change, a catalytic change. So it kind of invites customers who are not completely satisfied to not do the payment, and they don't even have to return the product. Yes, just like Pizza Hut did. True. But this thing is not appropriate for every company. That differs from company to company. You can't do it, you can't apply the same solution everywhere. Yeah, if it's not hot, then don't pay. And a lot of people leverage that also. And there are a lot of side effects also. People just try to do X or Y things to not to have to pay for the pizza. So those things also have to be taken care of. Now, another example of the radical change is in the airline tickets. So imagine paying for airline tickets after the flight and having the power to short pay depending upon your travel experience, not just in the air but during ticketing and planning as well. Now, what it means is you don't have to pay for your entire airline ticket. You will pay according to the level of customer experience you felt. So, for example, if your airline ticket is of 10,000 rupees, and if you feel that your ticketing experience was good but your in-flight experience was not good, and even your deboarding experience was not good, so you'll just pay for the ticketing experience. You will pay on the experience level. So you'll just pay 2500 or 3000 bucks for the ticketing experience, and for all other kind of experiences you won't even pay. So this is again an example of a radical change, which one of the airlines did, that they improved their experience at all the departments, even the ticketing department, deboarding department, flight departments. So travel experience was being monitored at each and every level, and they also got to know that which of their experiences is hampering their growth. So when the customers did not pay for the in-flight experience, they had a clear idea that there's something wrong with the in-flight experience, and that is what they need to correct. So this not only helped the organization remove the viruses from the system, but also helped them satisfy the customers at a phenomenally different level. And when you onboard customers via these kind of radical changes, the customers, they actually don't shift. They have a level of trust with you which is very difficult to shatter. So competitor coming in cannot break that level of trust. So radical changes has a very long term effect. Now this is a comparison between catalytic mechanisms and a traditional system of goal setting. So I'll just read it out. Traditional system of goal setting, it is based on the traditional system of bureaucracy, wherein the power is with the senior management or the board of directors. But catalytic mechanism is focused on achieving result in radical ways, unpredictable ways. Now, one of the example is mentioned here of the catalytic mechanism, that there's a company called Red Flag. So what it did was it made a ferociously opinionated CEO listen to the challenge of MBA student, improving the knowledge of the whole class despite the unexpected nature of the exchange. So Red Flag is a MBA school. So what it did was it brought out this change that is the voice better now? Can we continue? Are you guys attending from your phone or from your systems? Because phone might have this issue of cracking voices. Can you try using your system if it is a possibility? Or the other alternative is to go through the recordings. Amritesh, are you attending from phone or from your system? I just want to confirm whether this is an issue with the network. Is the voice clear to you, Amritesh? Okay, then it should not be a problem with the recording. So those of you who are facing this issue of cracking voice can go through the recording once. Aditya, disconnecting is not a choice because the session is being recorded and then the recording will have to be redone. So I cannot really disconnect from my side. So maybe one of the alternative is to go through the recording if it's really not visible. You can try participating in for 10-15 minutes more, and if it's really not possible, then try listening to the recording. Okay, so now another example of a traditional mechanism is it concentrates power in the hands of authorities who try to force people to obey their commands. And catalytic organizations, they distribute power for the benefit of the overall system, often to the great discomfort of those who traditionally hold power. It means that the power is distributed in the overall system. And obviously, when you do that, there are some people in the organization at the levels of senior management who feel a lot of discomfort. They don't really like it happening. So that's a sign that it is a catalytic mechanism, because not many people they want to distribute the power out of their own roles to the lower level roles. So there will be a lot of people who will be dissatisfied with this change, but that's how it is. Everyone is responsible for sharing the power. It's not only the senior management in the catalytic organizations. Then the another characteristic is traditional mechanism is understood by the employees and executives alike as merely an intention. Now, catalytic mechanism, it has a sharp set of teeth. It means that everybody knows the long-term vision of the organization, everybody knows where the organization is heading towards, and everybody is able to relate to what the organization is trying to do. But in traditional method, employees are just given instructions, and that they merely follow those instructions of their leads of or their managers or the organization. But catalytic mechanism, every person is equally participative, and he knows why and what is bringing in the change and where the organization is heading towards. So there is a clear understanding. Then traditional method, it attempts to stimulate right behavior from wrong people. So this statement has a lot of meaning. So in traditional organization, you don't focus on the right kind of hiring. You just hire people, carry on that baggage, so they are the wrong people for you, and you have to make them work. So it's a kind of you're carrying a baggage which is not going to work for you in the long run, and ultimately you can't even chuck that baggage out. So it is all based on trying to get the right work done from the wrong set of people. But catalytic mechanism, it hires the right set of people and focuses on ejecting the viruses. It even lays down people who are no more effective for the organization. So that's the harsh thing which catalytic organizations do, but it is important for them to be catalytic. Otherwise, they'll again carry on the baggage of people who will not perform, who are not the right fit for the organization. And there is this example. There's an organization called WL Gore and Associates. It's a US based organization. So in that organization, employees can fire the bosses. Have you ever heard of employees firing the bosses anywhere? So in this organizations, employees have the power to fire the bosses, and they ensure that there is a non-hierarchical leadership, which is an operation. There's no hierarchy that there'll be a manager, there'll be a lead, and then there'll be a team. So that's a wonderful organization of catalytic mechanism, wherein even the bosses, they have to be a responsibility towards their role. And then traditional organizations, they have a short term impact, they have a very short term vision. And catalytic mechanisms, they have an ongoing effect, like the examples of trust that we saw in two examples, one from the airline and other from the construction industry. So Kimberly Clark also did the same thing. It tried to do a head-on competition with the Procter and Gamble. So what it did was it tried to improve its consumer goods phenomenally. It focused on having phenomenally good consumer goods in the marketplace. Procter and Gamble is actually a very known company in FMCG sector, but Kimberly Clark thought of giving it a competition, and it knew that the only way to beat Procter and Gamble is to have a superior product line in place and superior performance in place. So that is what was their catalytic goal. And this strategy is still working 30 years later. So, it has an ongoing effect. So that strategy is not going to fail after 5, 10 years. It is going to have a long-term effect. So that's the proof of catalytic growth. Now, catalytic mechanism was one of the frameworks. Now there is this another framework for goal setting, which is called SWOT analysis. How many of you have heard about SWOT? Because SWOT is something you must have learned in your other management subjects. You would have heard it as part of organizational theory. Heard? Yeah, so what is SWOT? Can anybody just explain what is SWOT? What does SWOT stand for? Strength. Yeah, S stands for strength, W for weakness. What does O stand for? Opportunities, true, and T stands for threats. So basically, what you do is you carry out a SWOT analysis in your organization. You try to demonstrate what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats. And that is how you come out with the set of goals towards next 1 year or next 2 years. So this SWOT analysis also helps in goal setting. So the fundamental here is that you should try to build on your strengths, you should try to remove your weaknesses, capitalize on your opportunities, and you should be able to manage the threats that you face. So you should always try to work on your strengths. So strengths and opportunities are the plus points, and you have to deal with your weaknesses and threats. But before that, you will have to answer these questions, that what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So a thorough analysis of your organization is very important before you can move on to the next level of goal setting. So have you ever done SWOT analysis before? For any of the cases or in your present organization, if this is being done? Yes. What did you for yourself? Yeah, you can do it for your own self as well. True. But Amritesh, what did you use it for? Sana, you also did? Okay, which company did you do it for? Self. Okay. And Sana, in your case, what did you do it for? Self. Okay, great. So there is this matrix. So you have strengths and weaknesses on one side and opportunities and threats on the other side. And this matrix is called strategic alternatives matrix. You all can remember this because this is a term you're going to use in organizations a lot. So here you have to play on your strengths and try to maximize the opportunities. So strengths and opportunities are your plus factors, the positive contributors. So in the first row and the first column, there is strength and opportunities. So that is your advantage strategy. You will try to use your strength to maximize your opportunities. So maximum focus should be on the first row and the first column. And in the first row, second column, you have external threats. What does it mean? That you have to use your strengths to minimize the threats. So this is your protective strategy. Obviously, you have to deal with the threats. So threats have to be minimal. Otherwise, you'll just be blowed on by the threats and you would waste your resources managing the threats. So you have to use your strengths to deal with the threats. And in the third one, you have weaknesses and opportunities. So what do you do with your weakness? So you transform your opportunities to minimize weaknesses. So that is a conversion strategy, that you have to focus on minimizing your weaknesses. Take advantage of the opportunities that lie in front of you. And then there is this defensive strategy, that you try to minimize weaknesses as well as minimize threats, avoid threats. So defensive strategy is the worst strategy. You should not try to use a defensive strategy. The best strategy is the advantage strategy. Then there is protective strategy. The third one is conversion. And the last one to be used is a defensive strategy. So when you try to focus on the advantage strategy, that is where you can gain the maximum benefit. And that is where goal setting should actually focus on the advantage strategies. Now, this is one of the examples of a brewing company that actually did its SWOT analysis. So I'm not naming that brewing company, but this is how they labeled their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we'll just go through it. So the strengths for this company, there are three strengths: stock, marketing, and management team. So stock is they've got a very strong capital base. Marketing, they have aggressive and focused marketing campaign. Management team, they have a very good experience in product and business know-how. The team is well versed with the product. So these are the three strengths of that company. Then the weakness is they are not tech savvy. They don't know how to use internet and actually do a lot of research. So it is totally a non-tech savvy team. Then quick expansion. There are a lot of new hires to train and organization structures to learn. So they are very weak on this side. They have an untrained set of people, and then they don't have much knowledge about the organization structures as well. And then they don't have the reputation and the market or the money for big breweries. So they are comparatively new in the market. Then the opportunities. What are the opportunities here? Packaging. So opportunities are the market opportunities, that there is a new generation of consumers who will appreciate good packaging, high-end bottling, high-end labels. And then the other opportunity is a craft beer. So there is a new community of craft beers appreciators. So, the community of people who drink beers is kind of very sound in Botswana. So Botswana is where this company is based out of. Then there are government programs. So government is also promoting Botswana exports in beer. So that's a good thing for the company. That's an opportunity which this company can leverage. Then what are the threats? That there is a vertical integration. So major breweries are having control of supply and distribution channels to corner the market. So there are major breweries. The breweries are already there in the market and they are controlling the supply and chain departments. So that's a threat that they face. Then price fluctuation, there are huge fluctuations in the prices of supplies. And then the competitor market. So market is really competitive. So it's already having a lot of competitors in the breweries. So they are the threats. So what do you think can result out of this analysis? Where is it this brewing company should focus on? Which strategy should it use? We heard about four different strategies in SWOT analysis. So where do you think it should work on? First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, or the fourth quadrant? So the best strategy which this organization can apply is the advantage strategy. It has to work on its strengths and use the opportunities it has. So, it has to leverage the strength that it has a good capital stock. So this can be leveraged. It has a good cash flow. So this cash flow can be used to procure the resources, the supply and chain channels. They can try to influence the supply and chain departments to get the right set of resources in place. So this can be used to smoothline supply and chain department. Then marketing, they already have a very strong marketing department. So this can again be used to create awareness in the growing community in Botswana. They already have a growing community of beer appreciators. So they can leverage the already sound marketing department to have the new customer acquisitions in Botswana. Then management team is already having a good experience in the product and the business know-how. So this team can actually work with the government to create an awareness of the company and its new product lines. So when strengths and opportunities are being focused on, you get a very good set of goals to work on, and that is what leads your organization towards better profits, better revenues, and good set of customer base, which is the three things all the organizations aim for. So that's the best set for you to work on: strengths and opportunities. Is it clear? You can ask any questions that you have regarding this. Okay, so now there is this another framework called balanced scorecard. Have you heard of balanced scorecard? Sufia, I didn't get your comment. Ma'am, they can work as well on. Can you please explain? Yeah, they can also work on technology weakness. True. They can use their strengths to work on their weaknesses. They can use the capital stock to train the workers to be tech savvy or to train new hires. That is absolutely right. They can also use strengths to deal with the weaknesses. But the first strategy that should be used is the advantage strategy. And then, as you already studied, the protective strategy should be used. So goal setting can use two strategies also, but the best thing would always be to deal with the advantage strategy. There you will be investing minimum but gaining maximum benefit. Okay, so now the next framework is the balanced scorecard. So balanced scorecard was actually introduced by Robert Kaplan. He was a Harvard Business School professor, and now more than half of the Fortune 1000 companies in America are using this approach, balanced scorecard. Now this thing is even being used by a lot of organizations in India, and it is one of the concepts which is being taught in organization structure. If you would have gone through the module, I think this must have been a part of the training. Do you know about balanced scorecard? Or is it a new framework for you all? New to you? Okay. But this is even more leveraged than the SWOT analysis. Balanced scorecard, Sana. So that's the name of a framework. Balanced scorecard. No, that's balanced scorecard, not the smart card. So balanced scorecard, it actually works on four heads: people expertise, process excellence, customer experience, and financial perspective. So the idea is to have a holistic goal setting wherein each of these perspectives are given importance in the goal setting. You would have goals on financial perspective, you would have goals on improving the customer experience, then the goals would also focus on improving processes, driving process excellence, and then expertise in the people management section or the HR section. So, what is financial perspective? Financial perspective is focused on driving profitability improvement, maximum profits, maximum revenue, sufficient cash flow, and a sound EBITDA. You know what is EBIT? I think all of you must be familiar with EBIT. EBIT is earning before income tax. So the idea is to improve profits, improve cash flow, and have overall improvement in profits. So that is what EBIT decides. Then the next thing that they focus on is on improving the customer conversions. Everybody wants to have new set of customers acquired. That is a new sign of growth, business growth, profitability. Because until you have a new customer base, you can't be sure that you are actually growing in business. So when you have new set of customers, that gives you the idea that your business is actually flourishing. It's actually growing. So they focus on improving the customer experience and acquiring new customers. Then the process excellence. So process excellence is focused on improving the existing set of processes as well as introducing new set of processes. So one of the improvements could be in marketing and sales department, the other could be in operational departments, or they could really focus on driving in innovation in the existing set of processes. And then the third one is people expertise, because people, they are the sound blocks of any of the organization. So there has to be a culture of innovation and initiative in the organization, which is people focused. So when you have a set of employees in the organization who are satisfied, you try to have a very good work life balance and policies for your employees. That is when you actually drive a culture of people expertise. Then only people will really enjoy working in the organization. Because if you don't think about the people and just focus on profits, then your one pillar is always going to be weak. So actually, Balance Scorecard tries to balance out the four pillars: financial, customer, process, and people in goal setting. So each of these perspectives are taken into account, and that balances the entire structure, because these four pillars are the sound pillars, or the sound pillars of the structure, entire structure, which is your business. So these pillars have to be very strong. If one of the pillars is weak, it is going to impact the other pillars. So that is what this scorecard does. It actually tells you where you have to improve, and you have to focus on improving all of the pillars. So that's the beauty. Now, each of these pillars can have a set of measures. Financial, as we already talked about, maximum profits, maximum earnings. What else could be the financial measures? Earnings per share, a sound cash flow, debt to equity ratio, turnover, pre-tax earnings, gross profits, margins. So all of these are just the metrics for the financial pillar. So I've listed a lot of measures here, but companies generally focus on return on investment, return on earnings, operating cash flow, net sales, net revenues, EBITDA. So these are the main financial pillars which are being used. Then in customer section, you have the number of customer complaints, you have percentage of market share, you have number of customers who are retained, then dollars per account, time spent with the customer, number of transactions per unit time, or the average sales per customer. So any of these measures can be used for goal setting. Then internal business processes. Internal business processes may also have its own set of measures like delivery time, response time, number of new products, average cost per product. So you all must be able to relate with this. I'm just going through them because all of you must have an idea about these measures. They are very, very simple measures which we all have heard of. Then employees and learning, employee retention, employee satisfaction, turnover, percentage of employees who think that the system is efficient, number of new positions, number of relevant trainings attended, average sales per employee. So are you able to relate with these measures? Yes? Which of these measures are used in your organization? If I talk about customer measures, then what do you think are the most used customer measures which are being mentioned here? Which are the most popular ones? Revenue, yes. Revenue per customer, yes, it is one of the more popular measures. Then number of customer complaints is also a very, very effective measure. Number of customers retained, yes. Ratio of new to existing customers, that is also prominently used in organizations. Percentage of market share is also a very effective measure because that is what tells you that what percentage of the market does your organization capture. And that helps you in goal setting that today if I own 10% of the market, I'm going to raise it to 20%. So that is again a very, very important measure. Okay, so now that we have learned about the frameworks, now there is another concept of goal action form. Goal action form is actually a written form of goal statement wherein you describe each and every goal in detail, in lot of detail. Then there are several heads in this form which I'll just brief you about. So goal action form starts with the goal statement, which is actually a SMART goal. So you start with the goal statement, which is based on the SMART framework: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. And then you will mention the rationale for this goal. You will actually explain why did you set this goal? What is the mission of this goal? What is this goal set to achieve? And then you will also specify what is the goal type. So goal type could be essential goal, problem solving goal, or the innovative goal. So essential goal is actually something which is important for your organization's growth. That is something which is your prerequisite. So that is essential. Then problem solving goal, if that goal is actually solving one of the very important problem or a condition that exists in the organization. For example, uh, you know if your quality department is underperforming and you're trying to solve that problem and have a goal to eliminate that problem, then that goal will come into problem solving category. Then innovative. If you want to introduce a new product line in the next 5 months, so that is an innovation goal. So goal type also has to be specified in the goal action form. So that is how you make the goal more descriptive. Then goal rationale should also include WIIFM. How many of you know what is WIIFM? Anybody has an idea of this term WIIFM? So WIIFM stands for what is in it for me. So the whole term stands for what is in it for me. Like what is this goal intended to achieve for me? What is the personal benefit if I achieve this goal? So that is a motivator for you as an employee. So the goal rationale should include this WIIFM in the goal statement. That if I try to, improve the performance of my quality department, what is the impact that it would make to my growth personally? Perhaps I will be promoted, or perhaps I will get XYZ bonus, or perhaps I'll get a good recognition in the company, I'll get a step up role. So whatever is the personal benefit associated, you would write it in your goal action form. So that also builds up a clarity with the management that if I achieve this, then this is what I'm going to get. It is not an open-ended vague thing that I just achieve my goal and now I don't know what will happen next. So situation should not be like that. And it is actually the case in most of the organizations that nobody focuses on what is in it for me. Everybody wants to walk out of this thing. Even the employees, even the managers. So nobody wants to have a conversation regarding what is in it for me. So it's not bad to have a conversation because you're not doing an obligation by working for an organization. So it is your right to have that conversation. So, submission does not work. Actually, you have to ask for things also when you are working. So you don't have to be submissive. You don't have to be obligatory. It should not be given to you as an obligation. It should be given to you as your right. So that is something that you have to strike a conversation with the management and find out what is in it for you. Then planned activities. What are the activities or what are the procedures that you would adopt to achieve that goal? You have to list down the set of activities. Then deadlines. Deadlines are the time limits in which you plan to achieve the goal. So you should try to have very precise and accurate timelines because that is what will drive action and a sense of urgency. Otherwise, it is going to be an open-ended thing. So deadline is very, very important. Then projected results, success indicators. So how will you measure that the goal has been achieved? So we already studied in SMART goal that goal should also have a set of measures. Goal should always be measurable. So you should always try to list down the results that will tell you that you have had a success in achieving that goal. So, you should list down all those milestones that if the website is in place for in the next 5 months and it is actually being visited by so many number of people, then that is what is an indication of success. If that happens, that is how you can tell that the goal is achieved. Or if you talk about the indicators in the customer service arena, if you would have had 10% increase in the customer base that you have right now, that is your success indicator. So clearly defined success indicator should always be there in the goal action form. Then you should also list down your obstacles and constraints. So obstacles can be your time, resources, cost, or even the conditional things that you don't have the right skill set or the right kind of training to achieve that goal. Or there might be market risk, which can also serve as a constraint. Then cost, that you have to specify how much time, how much money, how many resources would be required to achieve the goal. So this has to be clearly identified in the form. Then person responsible, then you have to mention the stakeholders who would be responsible in achieving that goal. Normally there's only one person, but there might be a team who is responsible for a particular goal. So listing out all the stakeholders is also important. Then exact date and time for goal completion. So this leads to a properly constructed goal statement. Now this is an example on an action plan, and it has all the heads that we talked about. So the goal is realize 10% of the company's annual sales from the small business market by end of next year. So what does this goal mean? Goal means that you have to realize 10% of the annual sales. Can you explain what this goal means, or everybody is able to relate to this? If you don't, then please ask me, because this is important. So if the company has a target of $100 million, then 10% of that sales target is being achieved out of small business market by end of next year. So that is the goal that this company has. Now it has broken down the goals into steps. Gather secondary market research, hold 3 focus group meetings, develop a marketing plan, execute a marketing plan, and then there is a clearly a person responsible for each of these steps. And then the start date, end date, even the progress is being mentioned in the goal action form, and the expense. So this type of forms is usually being made in almost all of the companies. So when you work at the program managerial level, you actually deal with these goal action forms and you record the progress in the goal action forms. So this can be in the form of Excel templates or the Microsoft project, or you can just do it in a Word document. But usually it happens. Have you seen it happening in your organizations? Have you seen these action plans being used? Anybody? No? Okay. Now the next thing, getting help in reaching your goals. So business goals you will not be able to achieve on your own. You'll have to take help of your peers, you'll have to get the support of your manager, or you might need to work with third parties to get your goal achieved. So there are a lot of people involved when you're trying to achieve business goals. So you're not the only person involved in the goal achieval process. So this thing is very important when you have to work with multiple stakeholders and you have to understand the personality of each and every stakeholder. In previous organization, we prepare an action plan and execute them. Oh yeah, good Aditya, you shared. Which organization it was? If you can name it. Life Care. Okay, great. So when you have to work with yeah, that's a pharmacy. So were you directly involved with the goal action plan? Did you used to participate in the process of goal action plan filling, or you just saw this thing happening in the organization? Indirectly, you were involved? Okay. So when you have to work with multiple stakeholders, you have to try to actually understand 3 important things. That when people are not helping you achieve your goals, there could be 3 factors. They could be ignorant, they don't know what do you want, they are unable to help you, or they don't want to help you. So you really have to find out what is the reason why you are not getting help in achieving your goals. So you have to really find out which of these heads are operating at that particular point of time. So if one of your stakeholder is not knowing in what way he can help you, then you can educate him, you can set up a meeting with him, you can elaborate the process to him, and then probably he can find out those details for you. And if they are unable to help you, that means the people whom you are trying to seek help from, they are not able to help you. So you have to identify the next set of people to help you. But until you classify the reason, you will not be able to find out what is wrong where. And then a lot of times people are not even able motivated to help you. They don't want to help you for personal reasons, that you might step up on their roles, or you might get a promotion and you might halt others progress. So a lot of times other factors are also operating in when people are not ready to help you. But when they know what is evident at a particular point of time and why they are behaving in the way they are, you actually are more clear, and you can actually identify the next set of people whom you can take help from. Because if people are not helping you out of choice, maybe you can identify the other set of people. You can try out with the next set of people who can try to help you, rather than dealing with the same set of folks. But without having a knowledge of what is going wrong, you will just be in that vicious circle, and you'll just be trying to seek help and constantly being demotivated when you're not getting the right kind of help. So have you faced this? I'm sure most of you would have faced this in your organization. This is a very common problem. And a lot of times we don't get help when we actually want to know certain things. And people don't help because of their own personal reasons. Okay, so now there are three things that you have to ensure goal achievement. One is implement the plans, monitor the progress, and revise the objectives. If you face obstacles, then you just have to revise your objectives and raise it to your management, whatever obstacles and challenges that you face. So this is just a revision, nothing new here. So when executed properly, these three elements create a self-correcting loop for goal achievement. So this is something we studied in the second lecture, that what is that loop for goal achievement. There is a planning that you do, then you have to monitor progress, then you have to revise your plan if there are changes in the market, or there are risks involved, or there are constraints involved. So this three factor loop, it is a circular loop, and one controls the next one. Then there is this next thing called work breakdown structure. So if your goal is to get a promotion within 1 year, then you can break down this goal in this form also. Work breakdown structure is another form of breaking down your goals. So this person has broken down the goals into three heads: research, networking, and self-development. And each of these heads are further broken down into subheads. That in research, he would study ads in the Sunday paper, he would check for promotion announcements. He'll do all kinds of research about the jobs wherein he can get promoted. And he will also write new resume and cover letter, and he'll apply for jobs, 4 jobs each month. So this is in the research category. Then in the networking head, he'll join one of the channels wherein he can participate in networking, meet new people, build connections, and he'll set up one interview each week. So that is a part of networking head. And then the self-development head, he'll take up a class in finance and accounting for non-financial managers, and he'll volunteer to do annual audit to gain insight into other processes. He'll do some volunteer project work just to build up his credentials. Then he'll become a certified expert in one of the domains for his self development. So this is how you break down the goals into heads and then into subheads. So this gives you more clear action items in order to achieve that goal. So this also is being used in a lot of organizations, work breakdown structure. And a similar thing is network diagram. So network diagram also does the same thing, that you have a starting point, and for the same goal that you want to have a promotion in the next 1 year, what is it that you are going to do? So you would subscribe to industry journals to see what jobs are open, and then you will write your new resume and cover letter based on the kind of jobs. This is one of the flows. Then the second flow is you'll check for promotion announcements to learn which jobs are available, and then you will write your resume. Then the third step is review the ads in the Sunday paper and then write your resume on the basis of that. So network diagram actually is not very holistic. Work breakdown structure is holistic. It focuses on all the heads. A network diagram is more of a flow based thing, that you can have flow 1, flow 2, and flow 3, and you can achieve either flow 1, flow 2, or flow 3, or you can focus on achieving all the flows or all the paths in that network. So work breakdown structure is more prominently used. I've not seen network diagrams being used more often, but I just wanted to tell you that this is another way of elaborating on your goals. Then the next step, which is very important, is analyzing risks. So, risk analysis actually happens hand in hand while you're trying to achieve your goals, and it is one of the important thing that you would do. You always have to anticipate your risk. You have to see what risks are operating at what time, and sometimes there is just a change in the market situation or a client requirement wherein you have to change your entire strategy. So all of these are risks to your goals. So there is an easy formula which you can use to monitor your risk or to actually classify your risk. So the risk formula is P multiplied by I. So P is the probability that that event would happen, and I is actually the damage or the value of the damage. So this is one of the things that you can actually use, and it is very, very effective. So for example, there is a 10% chance that you would get a loss of $1,000. So the risk would be zero point 0.1 multiplied by 1,000. So there is $100 risk. So you can actually quantify the risk by this method based on the probability of an event and the impact of the event. So you can actually try to use this and see how it works. So this is very, very effective. Aditya, is it better now? Okay, so now that we have studied the risk uh, factor, now the next thing is to manage risk or the manage threats. So there are three strategies that you can use. One is the avoidance strategy, wherein you just try to avoid the risk. You try to change your plan so that the risk actually does not occur and there is no impact. So this is one of the best strategy to use if it is not expensive. So avoidance is the best thing to do. Okay, is it audible now? I'm just repeating this thing, strategy for threat risks. So one of the strategy is to avoid the risk. You try to have a plan so that you will not even meet that risk. So this is the best strategy. Try to avoid the risk as far as possible. And the second thing is transfer the risk. So you already know that insurance companies, they are meant to transfer the risk. You know, it will take on responsibility for insuring your house, your finances, or your car. So insurance companies actually work on transfer strategy. So when you take an insurance, you actually transfer the risk to someone else. That when that event happens, somebody else will pay for the risk. Then the third thing is mitigation. Mitigation, actually, you just try to work around the risk. For example, if you're planning a picnic and you know that it might be happen that it rains, so there is a probability of rainfall happening. So you'll carry a tent with you. You'll carry a portable tent. So that is a mitigation strategy. You try to have a mitigation plan in place. So the best strategy here is the avoidance strategy, and transfer is when you can get something insured. And the third one is mitigation, where you try to have a mitigation plan or the elimination. You don't try to avoid the risk, you try to have a alternative in place if the risk happens. Now we have all seen that goal setting actually helps organizations towards turning their visions into reality. Now we'll focus on the pitfalls that goals can actually make the organizations go wild as well. Now we are dealing with the negative aspect of the goal setting here. That with goals, organizations, they get really narrow focused. So they actually lead to blinding people's to important issues. You know, they get blinded. They just focus on the goals and then nothing else which is visible to them. So there are a lot of examples in the industry wherein these narrow focused goals have led to downfall of an organization. So this is a case of Ford Systems. Ford is a car manufacturer. So it actually saw a downfall because of the narrow mindset in goal setting. You know, it was just focused on achieving the goals, nothing else. So what happened was in late 1960s, Ford Motor Company was losing market share to foreign competitors that were selling small fuel efficient cars. Now the CEO at that time was Lee Loaca. He announced that there is this challenging goal of producing a new car which will be lightweight. It is 2,000 pounds and it will be under $2,000. And this would be available for purchase in 1970s. So this goal had a tight deadline, which means that all the levels of management needed to undergo, you know, it just left all the security checks in order to achieve this goal. They didn't focus on the security checks as at all, so no safety check involved at any of the levels, and they just expedited the development of the car. So the entire focus was on developing this new car which is lightweight and cost effective, and all the security checks and safety checks were waived off. So what it resulted in, the safety check actually happened with the fuel tank, which was, you know, located in the rear axle, and it led to car crashes and it led to fires in the cars. So there were a lot of lawsuits that Ford had to face. So the car would ignite upon impact. Whenever there was a car crash, the car would just blow off. So uh, one problem in the security check actually led to so many lawsuits which this company had to face, because all it was focused on was achieving the goals of lightweight cars. So this narrow mindset actually led to the downfall of the company. And the investigations later revealed that Ford discovered the hazard. Employees remained committed to their goal, and instead of repairing the faulty design, calculated that the lawsuits actually costed less than the cost of fixing the design. So it was a major design flaw and led to 53 deaths and injuries. So it was a major blow to the organization. So in this case, goal setting was there, specific goals were met, but at the expense of other features, which are safety, ethical behavior, and the company reputation. So, you know, This should not happen. Goal setting should be there, but you have to monitor other things as well. Safety is important, ethics are important, company's reputation is important. So nothing should get compromised. So your vision should not get very narrow minded with the goals that you have. You should have a holistic vision. So now the key takeaways. We're just winding it up. Goal setting theory is one of the influential theories of motivation. In order to motivate employees, goals should be smart. Smart goals motivate employees because they energize behavior, they let you think out of the box, they give you new and novel methods of performing. Goals are important in motivating employees and assessing their performance levels. It is tied up to your performance management program. Then poorly derived goals have the downfalls of hampering learning, preventing adaptability, and encouraging unethical behavior. So this should not happen. Goals should always focus on ethics, company's reputation, and safety checks. Companies tie individual goals to company goals using management by objectives. So that brings us to the end of the series. So there are two assignments. Some of you have tried to attempt assignment one, but please focus on the next assignment this week, and then there'll be the midterm exam. So all of the the questions and everything will be based on what we have studied in these three lectures. So if you get time, go through the lectures. They are very, very important. And if you have any questions, just ask on the discussion forums. I'll be more than happy to help you out. So if there are no more questions, we can just wind it up. Sufia, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you all. Thank you for attending the session.